Hello everyone, welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Will. Will is from Atlanta in Georgia in the USA. So let's see what Will has to say. Enjoy the interview.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hello, Will.
Uh, I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. Thanks so much for taking the time today for the interview. Thank you.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Wow, I love your jumper, your top. Amazing. I like the colors.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's kind of vibrant. Although it's a hoodie, it's kind of got spring summer going on in here. So
So tell me, how's your day going so far?
day is going very well. No complaints. It's been a good day. It's been a good day. It's a little rainy here in Atlanta today, but it's still a good day.
You are based in Atlanta,
Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah. Atlanta, GA.
and that's the place where you're born and raised?
No, I was actually born and raised in Virginia, so a small town called Bedford, Virginia, but not too far from the nation's capital, about 4 hours from the nation's capital. But I grew up there and spent a lot of time in the northern part of that state as well.
And why the change from there to Atlanta?
Atlanta came. I was working when I graduated from college, and I started a career in finance, and I had a an opportunity to relocate to Atlanta. But I also, at that time, was embarking on my music career, and so it just made perfect sense to make that transition. And it wasn't a hard transition; it was actually one that has been great. Proved to
Amazing.
be great.
Okay, Will, I know you are a singer, you are a musician, so walk me through a little bit more about your career, how everything started.
Yeah, I think, I guess it's just kind of innate, really. I guess if you're a singer, you probably have always kind of been a singer and a writer. Those things just kind of develop over time. But I think that I walked into the professional aspect of it somewhere in my college years. I uh, became acquainted with a producer and studio that was fairly close by, and I started doing some work on some songs back then, and so that just, I guess, the bug just kind of bit me in the professional side to really want to start looking at putting my music out for the public.
Amazing. Okay, so before we start our journey within the Magic Box, of course, I can see in your back, some of your records, some of them. Can you show me a little bit? Can you kind of walk me through a little bit about them, journey?
Yeah, so I don't know if I can show you. I'm on my laptop, so I don't know how
You
much you can
can.
actually
You,
see
you can
there.
just, yeah, I can see properly. If you just can point it out.
Okay. So this was actually one of my more recent singles. This actually was released probably a couple of years ago. So this plaque commemorates 250,000 units streamed and downloaded of that, which is actually a lot more at this time. So I can't wait to be able to update those numbers. Hopefully, we're more like 500,000 at this time. But this was my very first project. It's called "It's My Will." And so most of the songs that are actually on this project, it was 12 of them, I wrote and developed over the course of my college career. So
Wow.
when I was out of college and of course was able to record and worked with a wonderful producer by the name of Funky Boy out of Connecticut. And we put that project together and it was just received very well. And so that was really my entry into the hearts and minds of music lovers all over the world. I mean, I really didn't anticipate, I had no expectation really. I didn't understand. And so I didn't know. I just knew that I was doing a project and I was just very fortunate that it kind of solidified the base for, what I would go on to do musically. So it was received very well. I followed that up actually with a live project. I don't have that plaque on the wall, but after that, I did Reacquainted several years later. And so my big song from that project was actually a song called Candy Coated Raindrops. And although this was the debut project, this was the project that probably garnered me even more fans due to that particular song. Candy Coated Raindrops still remains one of the most requested songs of mine, most downloaded songs of mine, and streamed across even the world today. And this here was a project that I did just a couple of years ago, Where Do I Begin? And so I had a couple of really good standout songs on there, but really that's where this song here stemmed from, that project, and a song called Let's Play and The End and a couple of other ones. And so it's just been a kind of a wonderful journey, and I'm in the process now of about to release another project. So it really feels good. And so hopefully I'll have something else on the wall real soon. This was just, I've had a lot of articles written over the years, but this one is really special. It was written by my local hometown newspaper back in the day when I first started, and it talks about me ditching the corporate scene for a career in R&B and pop. And so, yeah, that's kind of like a little navigation through where I've been. So that represents about 15 or so years of the journey in music.
Amazing, my God, amazing, fascinating to see, you know, different parts of your life and also all there representing your journey so far. Amazing.
And I have more pieces. This is actually like my probably third studio. I have a studio in my home, and so this is the most recent studio. And so I'm still getting things on the wall and together, but so I have a lot more. But these were the key pieces that I wanted to kind of just get up to give me inspiration as I, you know, work from day to day and week to week. It's you know, walking in here and seeing that, you know, that kind of gives you the encouragement and the fire you need to keep going.
Amazing. Okay, so during the journey, I'm going to explore a little bit more about your career and also about your life overall, okay?
All right.
Will, are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and share your point of views?
Absolutely.
Amazing. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. So I've got here my best friend. Wonderful questions. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to play a song now just for us to relax before the first question, okay?
All right.
Let's do it. Right, so before we start the game, during the journey, if it comes up a question that you don't want to talk about, some reason you don't want to answer, always can change, okay?
All right.
Right, first question for you is, tell us a funny or a moment in your, tell us a funny story or a moment that happened to you when you were a child at school.
Oh. I mean, I've had many moments when I was a child at school. I was a very mischievous child, so I was into a lot of things. I wouldn't say I was bad, although many people would probably say I bordered being bad or that I was bad. But I can tell you this one incident where my older sister comes into play, and this is just really still fascinates me today. I had gotten in trouble for something at school, just another day in the life of Will Preston. I don't know what I had done, but anyway, I'd gotten in trouble, and I had gotten either suspended or detention for the next day or what have you. And so they sent you home with a note to give to your parents, basically the disciplinary referral, and it had on there what the consequence was. And in the evenings after school, I was probably in the 6th grade, and my sister may have been if I was in the 6th, she was in the 8th grade. And so on my way home from school, I rode the bus to my grandmother's house. My sister walked. And so I didn't want to show this note to my parents. And so I threw it out the window of the school bus as we crossed the bridge. And I thought that we were over the bridge and gone. You know, I didn't think any more about it. I was going to pull something. I don't know if the next day they just wouldn't have known that I was suspended or in detention or what have you. Turns out several hours later, my sister's coming home from her cheerleading practice or whatever, and she finds this paper walking over the bridge. And so she gives it to my grandmother, who of course gives it to my mother. And, you know, so I probably got in double trouble for being in trouble at school, but also trouble for throwing it out of the bus window. But I just thought, of all people who could have found that letter, how did my sister happen to find that letter? So that's something that, yeah.
You deserved, Will. You deserve that.
You're right. You're right. So that was that.
Did you like school growing up, or for you was a bit not the first place to be?
I can't say that I loved school growing up. I was good at school. I was able to do the work and didn't have any issues as it pertained to that. But I was more interested in the social aspect of school. So it wasn't like I didn't enjoy school. I would do my work, and then it was probably hard to keep me on task. And that's what the teachers used to say. I would become a huge distraction to others once I was done. So it was not something that I loved going to school, no, but I did enjoy friends and being around the social aspect of school. I always enjoyed that piece of it.
Amazing. Next question. Let's do it. Next question for you is, what bores you?
What bores me? I am honestly someone that I just don't allow myself to really get bored. I think that I never have enough hours in a day to do anything that I want to do. So I'm never a person that's bored. I can't think of the last time that I said I'm bored. I have too much to do. If it's not, writing a song, if it's not recording a song, I'm up against a deadline to do something to get ready for the project. I'm just not a person to get bored. I like to do a lot of things. I like to do music, of course. I'm so interested in real estate. I do a lot of things in real estate as well.
Mhm.
I like to cook, so
Oh,
I'm never a person that runs out of options. Talk to people. I'll pick up the phone, call friends, family. I don't really get bored. Boredom is not something that consumes my life in any way.
wow. It's interesting you sharing that. You made me go back to one of my interviews. A lovely man from Australia. He was
Mm-hmm.
telling me that in the interview that when he was a child, he was with his grandmother in the car, and his grandmother was drive him somewhere, and he was moaning, "I'm so bored, I'm so bored," and his grandmother said, "Just boring people gets bored."
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
probably true.
I love that. Next question, let's do it. Okay, Will, before the next question, what's the biggest joy of being a singer? Writing music. What's the biggest joy of your journey? And of course, there's always a challenging part as well. What that will be?
The biggest joy about being an artist is the reality of your music relating or connecting with other people. I think that's something that you don't actually anticipate because as a writer, you're writing maybe from some experiences that you've seen other people go through, or you're writing, autobiographical pieces. But when other people can connect to that, or when other people really enjoy it or are inspired by it in some way, I would think that that's an extreme for me, that gives me energy and fuel to keep going because people are like, when are you coming out with your next project? What are you doing? What are you waiting on? Things like that. So it's good to know that people are waiting for more music from me. That feels good. One of the challenging aspects, though, is that, being in a creative space, I'm not someone ha- who writes. I have to be in the mood. I have to feel it. I have to have
Yeah,
that creative streak. And so being up against some type of deadline is something that I don't necessarily enjoy because you don't always get the most creative work when you're forced to sit down and write. And,
yeah,
let's say you'd had to finish a song by X date. Well, maybe you aren't inspired in that moment. And there have been many of my songs that I have started even in one year and finished in another year, or even at the beginning of a month and finished 2 months later. So it doesn't always come as a fluid session of writing from beginning to end. Many of my songs, probably most of my songs, were developed in portions and periods over time, and you get back to them and you finish. The second verse, this is another challenge, I would say, but the second verse of every song is always the most challenging aspect for me. The first verse is easy. Hooks are extremely easy. But the second verse, because then you have to stick to a formula, so to speak. You got your bars, you got your measures, you got to, mathematically stick to what you did in the first verse for the most part. And so that's always the most challenging aspect is that second verse.
and for you to write songs, do you need, as you said about being inspired, it happens to you like more during the day, during the evening, or maybe when you are outdoors or going through something melancholic? How does it work for you mostly?
Well, experiences definitely can bring on the emotional appeal to write, but honestly, I don't have a set time or sequence in which I have to write. I've written many songs. I've woken up out of my sleep to write songs before. I've been walking through the store, the mall, and you get a melody. So it's no specific set time. I can't think of any particular space that I'm most um, prone to writing or even creating melodies. No, it just kind of hits you when it hits you. And but I do know that there are intervals of time. So typically, I'm in a creative space for a span of time. And so if I'm in a creative mode, it usually lasts for months. And I'm able to really focus on a lot of writing during those times. And when you get those types of streaks, it's really anything can really spark your creativity.
Amazing. Next question is, what's your favorite weekend activity?
Well, I love music. Outside of music, I like to shop. Um, and I shop, from mall shopping to store shopping, grocery store shopping. Costco is, like one of my favorite stores in the world. I don't know if you all have Costco there, but Costco is it's like a huge warehouse.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite stores in the world. I love, shopping for clothing and stuff like that as well. So I like to shop, like to listen to music. I like to relax a little bit on the weekends. Church usually on Sundays. It's simple things, the simple things that bring me joy. I feel like, I'm always so busy that a lot of times you look for the simplicity in life. You look for the moments when you can just chill and unwind because, there aren't a whole lot of those times when you're always on the go and always doing something.
Amazing. Next question. Let's do it. Hey, Will, next question is, do you have any pet peeves?
Yeah, people, I have a few pet peeves. I have pet peeves with people who don't maximize opportunities in life, with people who are just content with the status quo and they don't push themselves to be better people. I'm not saying you have to go out and conquer the world, but I think that every day we have a responsibility to become better and better than the person we were the day before. So that's a pet peeve, but just seeing, some people would call it lazy people. So lazy people annoy me, when they make excuses about why they're lazy. And then another thing would be the whole notion and argument about R&B music being dead. That's an annoyance because I don't think it really is. I just think that people aren't looking hard enough for it, and there's plenty of excellent music out there that's not necessarily played every day on the radio. But if you stop relying on others to feed music to you and you go out and find it, I think you're going to be able to find absolutely anything you want.
And when you analyze yourself, when you think about yourself, what's the biggest joy of being you? What do you like the most about being Will?
What I love about being me is that I don't just think of an idea and sit on it. I can say that I feel that I live every aspect of life. I think that I feel grateful for the life that I've been given and grateful for the thoughts and the creativity and all of that I possess. And I'm someone who is going to try to act on that. I'm going to try to live in all of those truths. And so I'm glad that I'm a go-getter. I'm glad that at the end of the day, I don't want to look back and say, I wish I had done this, or I used to think about that and I didn't do it. I'm not that person. So that's something that I'm just proud of the fact that I go after my dreams. I chase my dreams and goals, and I'm always pushed to that. Even when others may not be, I kind of can stand alone, and I'm proud of that fact that I can just push myself. I'm intrinsically motivated for the most part by who I am.
And you always been this way, Will, or some period of your life you start being like that?
I think that the more you live, or in my case, the more I live, the more I grow into that. I think it's always been who I am. I think I've always just kind of done that. And it's probably led to me getting in trouble so many times because I've always wanted to just be me and do my own thing without reservations, so to speak. But I think that as life goes on, you realize that number one, life is extremely short. And so it's get busy living or get busy dying. And so for me, it's get busy living. You lose a few people in your life who are extremely close to you. It really makes you put it all in perspective. And no matter when someone dies that is close to you, you're going to feel like it's too soon. And so it just makes you want to maximize everything in this life that you can get out of it. And so that's what I try to do.
Amazing. Ready for another one?
Yes.
Let's do it. Next question. Okay, this one is a good question. Who is your biggest idol and what have you learned with this person?
See, I don't really fall into the vein of idolizing people too much because I guess I'm also of the understanding that we're all human. We all have flaws. There are aspects about many people that I absolutely love, but I probably just fall short of idolizing people. But what I can say is that, for me, it would be people like my family, grandparents, parents, people who have really instilled values in me, and have really prompted me to be the person that I am today. So those would be my true idols. All those people who paved the way for me in their lives weren't necessarily as easy as some would perceive that I have it today, but because of them, I can be who I am today. And so I really admire everything that they did to kind of usher in an opportunity for me.
And which person in your family you feel more close to or you're more connected with?
I think I'm connected to all of my family. We're a very close family. I think that you love them and you appreciate them. My mother, my father, all of my grandparents, and I think that in the sad event that they leave us, I think that you find that your connection, even though you feel that it was strong while they were here, it becomes just even more powerful when they're gone. It's just because you start to really try to hold on to everything they ever taught you. You try to remember every word they ever imparted in you. And so those connections for me just really are strong. My grandparents, I just, remember growing up and having them around. And my maternal grandmother was such an amazing force in my life, and she passed away later than my other grandparents. So I had more time with her, and just so there's a something there because we just had more time here with her. And then my father very recently passed away this year, and so there's still a very, very special connection and just a feeling that I just have for him right now, even as I sit here still with the disbelief that he's gone. It's just been a couple of months, and it's just so I'm still processing that. But it's still one of those feelings, like you just feel the connection, and I feel that he's the drive in me right now. He's the drive to say keep doing what you're doing, because life is uncertain. You don't know how long you'll be here, but get the most out of it while you are.
Wow. I think having the support, of our family, regardless what we are doing, I think is the best. We feel safe, don't we? We feel safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Great. 3 questions left. Let's do it.
Okay.
Before the next one, Will, do you think in Atlanta it's a good place for musicians? Do you think there are a lot of opportunities there, or do you find more difficult in the music business?
Well, I think the music business in general it can be a challenge, but I think that if you have the heart, you have the drive, you have the passion, and the ability or the awareness that you might have to carve your own lane. Don't try to follow other people. Like, no matter where you are, no one's going to give you anything. So from that standpoint, I think Atlanta is an amazing place to be as it relates to meeting creatives. I have met so many creative people. I've worked with so many creative people. It's an amazing place to be for artists, writers, musicians. And so, but at the end of the day, again, it's one of those things that if you're just looking for locations to align yourself with people because you think that that's going to be your big break, then I think you really missed the mark. It's a great place, but you also have to work extremely hard to hone your craft, understand the business, and do what it takes to like I said, create who you are going to be your own person, so that you can stand out. Because one thing that people don't often realize is that when you're in a crowded space, and I would consider Atlanta not necessarily overcrowded, but it's a crowded space. There are a lot of singers here, a lot of musicians. What makes you stand out? And so if you're just like everybody else, then who's going to remember your name? Who's going to, so it's one of those things that, yeah, it's more people, more opportunity, but then you really have to dare to be different.
Amazing. Next question is, what things do you consider to be relationship deal breakers?
Well, relationship deal breakers for me was always, I didn't want a woman who smoked. So then smoking was one for me. I had to have someone who had a spiritual connection, someone who was based, at least had a relationship with God, or certainly saw potential there, because my faith was so strong. I think, but I would say those are the only two things that I can ever really say were deal breakers. And I guess, though, when you look at life, nobody's going to be perfect, right? And so I think people have different deal breakers at different points in time. Some people might say, as you get a certain age, they might not look for someone who has kids, or maybe they don't want someone who's been married in the past, or, it's just different things. I think it kind of depends on where you are in your journey of life when you do decide to connect with somebody, how you really feel about deal breakers. But in reality, is anything ever really a deal breaker? I mean, a smoker can stop smoking, so, and we can learn to adjust to many, many different things. So I don't know if there are any real true deal breakers. I don't know.
I like that. I think it's very personal. It's see how which the person you are connected with. You know what I mean? That's how
Yeah.
things get to know. Amazing.
Yep.
2 questions left. Let's do it. Before the next one, tell me through your career. Tell me a situation or a moment or something that happened to you that you're never gonna forget. It's always gonna have a special place in your heart.
Let's see, special place in my heart. There've been so many. I'll say with my first project, just the acknowledgement and just the overwhelming response that I received from people around the world. Like, I thought I'm releasing a project here in the United States, and things start coming in from people like in Poland and in the UK and Germany and Japan and China. And I'm having meetings with people about distribution deals, and they come over from, all these countries, and had a couple of those. And it was just at that time when it first happened, it was like, wow, this is big, this is exciting. So those were things that really kind of made me feel really good and really proud. I'll say another moment that made me feel good some years later was being nominated for male R&B Artist of the Year at the Georgia Music Awards. I think it was R&B Artist of the Year, which was a big thing at that time. And so again, it was just being recognized on this big scale, and we had a whole award show and all of that. And so it was just amazing. So I think that for me as an artist, it's just the reception, and it's still surprising. I'll be on random things on Spotify, Apple Music or something, and my music just pops up, or you find yourself in people's playlists and radio streams and stuff. And it's just hearing you come through like that is just always kind of. And then sometimes I'll find myself saying, I know that song. And I'm like, that's me. So that has happened a couple of times. It's like, wait a minute. And then I realize that's me.
Oh, nice one.
Yeah.
Okay, next question for you is, what's the best advice have you ever received?
The best advice that I've ever received. Best advice. Really, it's advice of just be who you are, be yourself. You don't always have to follow a crowd. My mom used to always say, you're gonna always have to listen to someone. When we're growing up, you're kind of rebellious and you think you don't have to listen. And I remember telling her, probably mumbled under my breath, but I remember thinking at that time when she used to say that, no, because I'm going to be my own boss. I'm going to work for myself. I must have said it aloud, because I do remember her at one point saying, no matter who you work for or what you do, you're going to always have to listen to someone. And I think that is advice that has just stuck with me all my life, because I found that to be true. You're never, no matter how independent you are, you're never alone. You always have to operate within the confines of some rule or some parameter. And you never do life alone, period. So get used to following rules and being compliant and all of those things.
Amazing. Ready for the last one?
Ready.
Let's do it. Last question. But before the last question, Will, people, when they listen to your music, people, what's something that would you like them to take with them when they listen to your music? What's the message that would you like them to take?
Yeah, it's all about love. And, I write about love, and there's so many different aspects and facets of love. Some of it is very pretty, but sometimes in love, things can be bad. And so my music is really just capturing moments in love and capturing little snippets, and people can relate to that and they can feel good with it. Or sometimes it helps them to put an element with the emotion that they're feeling. So they're able to find relatability in it. And above all, I guess I would want my music to be uplifting and soothing. And but people can come to me to, find acknowledgement of what they're going through. Looking on the positive side of love. Maybe they'll play a song of mine that says, that's what I want to get back to. That's what I want. Or maybe they're just having a moment where they want to reflect and they're sitting there and they're thinking, I've been through that, but then my next track will come on and they're like, this is where I'm going. This is where I want to be. I just want to make you feel the emotions, wherever you are in that space. I want to be part of that soundtrack, so to speak, to help you through it and to it and all of that.
Amazing. Last question is, what's the biggest difference between you and your best friend?
Some of my friends are a lot more daring than I am. I would say that. Well, I've always liked taking risks. There are people out here who are much more risk takers than I am. I'm thinking of my closer friends here in Atlanta with me, and I have one friend who is definitely a risk taker and a daredevil, and I have another on the other side of me who's, he's more conservative than I am. So we have the me in the middle. But I think that in some cases I just am not as daring. I'm not jumping on the stage and taking off my shirt and slinging it around and all of that. Whereas we have one friend he might be right at home doing that. So it's just interesting. But I think that the great thing about friendships is that you bring all of these different personalities together, and it's just a wonderful camaraderie that we share. And we accept the fact that we're all different and that we're all in different career paths, and that just makes life for us that much more exciting. When we travel and talk about all the things we've done and the places we've been and the people we know and we've seen, and we bring those experiences together. It's just a wonderful connection that we have and we can share. So it's a wonderful thing.
Amazing. Okay, so then yet, let's play now the word association game. Okay, I'm going to give away some words. Just tell one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking. Let's start with money.
I want it.
Fear.
Snakes, planes.
Interesting. I cannot see a snake in your jumper. No, there's no snake there. Just a lion, birds. There is no snake. One word for family.
Love.
Life.
Maximize. Love it. Enjoy it.
Okay. One word for sex.
Great.
Okay. Love.
Happiness.
Religion.
Necessary.
Politics.
Chaotic.
Friendship.
I have so many. You want one word? Friendships. Again, necessary. Can't do without it. The glue. Glue.
Okay, I like that. Desire.
Passion.
Regret.
Not today.
Success.
Always.
Wish.
Fulfillment.
Happiness.
Purpose.
One word for USA.
Opportunity.
One word for music.
Abundant.
And the last one now, singer. One word.
Will Preston.
Of course, of course. Let's pretend I'm going to meet your best friend for a coffee, and I'm going to ask your best friend. Define Will in one positive word and one negative word only. What your best friend would say?
Giving. Stubborn.
Which one is the negative? Which one is the positive?
I'm giving, that would be the positive. Stubborn would be the negative.
I'm joking. I'm just teasing you now. Let's play now Will and the Magic Box, and you can ask me a question. But But before you ask him the question, of course, you mentioned that you don't have any idols, but in the music industry, like or growing up,
Mhm.
or there was someone that you admired that for you was like, oh, I like this person music, or it was inspiration for you.
Absolutely. Luther Vandross, I loved his voice. I loved his tone. I loved his style. Joe Levert, Gladys Knight, Aretha Franklin, of course,
Oh wow. Yeah.
Smokey Robinson. I would say that I feel that the hands down greatest singer that ever lived is Whitney Houston. I
Wow.
feel that. Um, and that's I don't know if we'll ever have another Whitney Houston, but I think that people don't do well to emulate her because there could never be another one of her. But these are people that I truly enjoyed growing up. I think that they probably have influenced me and helped shape at least the style of music that I want to sing. All of those people and groups like Boys to Men and Jodeci and Drew Hill and even Usher, who would be more contemporary artists. But people like that. I just always love people with those voices. Alicia Keys, people like that.
It's interesting you say about Whitney Houston. I had a lovely man on the show not long ago, and he's a big fan of Whitney Houston. And I was telling him, those people, you still cannot take that they're not hit anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Sometimes
absolutely.
when I hear her song, when I listen to her song in the radio or in a club or somewhere, I was like, my God. Sometimes I forget that she's not here anymore. They are legends. They're always gonna be
Yeah.
here, lived in our lives somehow. Their music is always
And
going to be.
that's yeah. And that's the power of music, also, and you have someone who is such a phenomenal singer who sang the soundtrack to almost everybody's life in some capacity. And so she'll always, always, always be around. And so that's the great thing about music is it allows for an enduring legacy.
Absolutely. Here you can ask me a question now.
Okay. So my question for you would be, I told you it's a rainy day here in Atlanta. So on a rainy day and you're sitting around, who is your go-to singer? Who will you put on to listen to?
Oh my God, that's a good question, actually. A good question. I'm very open about music, and I love music as well. I love listening to music. Even though when I'm sad or melancholic, I still listen to the music and I feel great as well. I think that my sadness, I feel it in a different way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be honest to you, Will. When for some reason I had a great I grew up in the 80s, yeah. And for me, all the 80s music, it brings me good vibe. I'm in the gym, I'm listening to the 80s. I have like a selection of music that's always come back to the 80s. There's something about it. And go back to all those artists, Whitney Houston, all of those artists that that somehow they started or they got very big in the 80s. All those
Mm-hmm.
music, somehow it brings good to my heart. I feel so great. So it's difficult to pick one because of course I can tell you so many artists that I love it, but when I'm, if I'm in the gym or if I'm at home, sometimes editing videos, and I just put like a selection of music, and I always go to the 80s for some reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would answer to you like the 80s. Music for me is the best decades of music for me.
Yeah.
In my opinion, is the best decades. I don't know why. I think all the transformation there, come from the 70s, get into the 90s. So, but the 80s is a decade that's always gonna bring me good vibes. I don't know if it's because my
Yeah.
dad growing up, I remember my dad listened to those Elton John, ABBA, all those. I don't know it's because of that, but I have such a great connection with the 80s that people who knows me, they do like, oh my God, you're always back to the 80s. You're always back to the 80s. But yeah, my answer to you would be that any music that it was playing in the 80s, and it brings good vibe for me for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Amazing. Did you enjoy the interview?
Absolutely, I did. It was wonderful. I had a great time.
Thanks so much. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for being so sweet and being part of the show. Before you go, if you can share a positive message or anything that you live by.
Yeah, I would just say to everyone, continue to maximize, get the most out of life. We're here not for a long, long time. And so it would be a shame to, get to the end of your life and realize that you could have done so much more. So I always say that I want to, when it's my time to go, I want to go having been still in pursuit of something. I don't want to cross off everything that's on my list because it gives me nothing else to live for. So I say always pursue something, have a drive and a passion to live and to love.
Amazing. Thanks so much. Regards to your family, your friends, and you keep in touch, okay, Will? It was a pleasure having you on the show, okay?
Absolutely. Thank
Take
you.
care. Have a great day.
Okay. You too.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, to share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why would you like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye bye, see you next time.